Welcome to Hope is Here, bringing hope to those struggling with life's difficult situations.
Welcome to Hope is Here. My name is GregJHorn, and we are continuing our look at the book of Hebrews on Mondays and Tuesdays here as we are on our summer road trip. Hard to believe that summer's almost over and only 13 chapters in the book of Hebrews. So just like summer's coming to an end, so is our study of this book. But I had a lot of good feedback and always appreciate that when people reach out and let us know they've been blessed by a program, whether it's something that I've shared or one of our many, many wonderful guests. And just want to encourage you, if you've been blessed by a program, if it's on a podcast, to comment on that. For the YouTube channel, just really is encouraging to us and the people that support our ministry, and just so thankful for what God's doing through Hope is Here. Well, today we are going to look at Hebrews 12. Last week we looked at one of my favorite chapters in the Bible, Hebrews chapter 11, which is kind of called the Hall of Fame of Faith chapter, and just looking at the many amazing women and men that God used over 2,000 years ago, and that we stand on their shoulders today and where our faith comes from. And if you missed that program last week, really want to encourage you to go to our website, hopeisheretoday.org. That's hopeisheretoday.org, and check that out. And just to recap, if maybe you haven't been with us on the previous Mondays, the book of Hebrews was written about 70 years after Jesus went to be in heaven and sat on the throne right next to God. And the people that had become followers of Jesus, they were getting a little discouraged because, out of sight, out of mind, as the old saying goes. And some are thinking about going to their old ways. And the author of Hebrews just said, hey, I want to remind you about all that Jesus did, and remind them about angels and how God used angels before Jesus arrived in the scene. And also showed us how Jesus can help us with temptation. Then also that if we've accepted Jesus as our Savior, that we don't have to be afraid of death anymore. And then we looked at how that Jesus is our anchor of hope during tough times, and that when Jesus is all you've got, Jesus is all you need. And so if you missed any of those programs, I hope you will go to our website or wherever podcast, whatever platform you listen on. We're on all those, and subscribe to Hope is Here. We would greatly appreciate it. But today we're going to be hanging out in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and through 3. It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race that is marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before Jesus, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Friends, I really planned on doing more verses in chapter 12, but as I was preparing these messages for this week, I just felt like I needed to camp out and stay in verses 1 through 3. Just so many nuggets of wisdom that we all need, and that we can apply in our life here 2,000 years later. I mean, there's no doubt the author of Hebrews was just anointed with God's favor and blessing when he wrote this book, because just in 3 verses alone, there's so many things that we can apply in our lives today. And so I'm titling this message today, Running with Endurance. Running with endurance, talking about, the game of life. So you can have endurance, because I do believe that one of Satan's greatest tools is discouragement. And when he gets you discouraged, you become hopeless and you lose your faith. And just hope that you will be encouraged by what I share today and tomorrow from Hebrews chapter 12. And God really spoke to me through it in preparing these 2 messages, and I'm so thankful that you're here listening on the radio or podcast or watching on our YouTube channel. But the first thing I think that you need to know and remember when you're running this race we called life is to learn and remember those who have already completed the race. Say that again. Learn and remember those who have completed the race. So what I mean, learn from their lives, okay? Learn from those who've gone on to heaven. And to remember them with the way that we honor our lives. As a lot of you know that listen frequently, my dad passed away unexpectedly after coming out of heart surgery. And obviously you can die anytime you have surgery, but his surgery went well, and they said we could see him in a few minutes, about 45 minutes, and then his heart went out of rhythm, and he had completed his journey on earth. But one of the things after he passed, this was March of 2016, my mom, as she was going through his things, and she sold their house and downsized to a smaller place, and my dad had a couple pair of glasses, and she just said, would you like a pair of your dad's glasses? And even though I'm fortunate, I still, even in my 50s at this point, have not yet had to get glasses or even readers. I say that very humbly because I know that could change in a second, as I've heard from so many family and friends. But I thought, you know what, I'll take a pair of those glasses just because, my dad wore them, and just wanted any memorabilia that I could have that reminded me of this wonderful man and dad and friend. So then, fast forward a few months later, a good friend of mine, Jimmy Fields, who I'd known when he was executive pastor at Vineyard Community Church. Then we actually served together for a year on a church. But all of a sudden, Jimmy just started feeling bad, and he got diagnosed with mesothelioma. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but a form of cancer. It usually involves being around asbestos. Well, Jimmy's one of the healthiest people I know, just took great care of himself, ate well, exercised, and just looked great for a guy 59 years old. But unfortunately, in less than a year, he was gone. And he had completed his journey on earth. And so his wife had, Jimmy had several pair of glasses over the years that he had kept in a drawer. And so I just felt led to ask his precious wife, Diana. I said, could I have a pair of Jimmy's glasses? And I want to put those with my dad's. Then, so that Jimmy went to heaven in March of 2017, and then just 3 months later, in June of 2017, one of my heroes of the faith, one of the main reasons I'm in ministry today, is my hero Wayne Smith completed his time on this earth. And just to be honest with you, just in a little over a year, I lost 3 men that had a huge impact on my life. And so I was really struggling. I was hurting. And after Wayne's funeral, and his daughters were trying to get his house ready and to sell that. And I'm pretty good friends with one of his daughters, Jana, and she knew how much her dad, Wayne Smith, meant to me. And so she called me and said, hey, we're letting a few people that, I know really love Dad, and he impacted their lives, to come down to his study in the basement of our house. And if there's anything you want, books or anything, you can have those. And so I saw once again that he had a couple pair of glasses sitting there, and so I just asked her, told her the story about my dad and my friend Jimmy Fields, and I'd be honored to have a pair of Wayne's glasses. And she said, absolutely, you can. So I got these all posted on a shadow box, and a teammate with Hope is Here, Kathy Young, did such a great job making the shadow box. And with each one of these men, I had a saying of what I remembered them for, what they taught me. We're talking about Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, since we were surrounded with such a great cloud of witnesses. Well, these 3 men were just definitely witnesses of Jesus to me when they were here on this earth. So on my dad's pair of glasses, I had helped me to have wisdom like my father, Ed Horn. And in fact, that's why I do Food for Thought Friday, because my dad had this great gift of sharing things with you, sometimes that you really honestly didn't want to hear. But he could just say it in a way without, the old saying goes, of stepping on your shoes without messing up your shine. And so sometimes he'd say something you probably didn't want to hear, but you'd listen, and then he'd say, that's just food for thought. Just food for thought. And then he'd change the subject like, hey, when's Kentucky football play this weekend? And so I think one of the things that just I want to honor him with Food for Thought Fridays and just share things that God's taught me. And so a lot of people say that's their favorite program that we do here on Hope is Here. Then for Wayne Smith, I said he always inspired hope in people. Always inspired hope in people. And I'm so thankful for that I had a front row seat sitting under Wayne's teaching for all that time. And then as he was retired from ministry, got to spend time with him and just listen and learn and pray with him. I'm so thankful for that season of life. But Wayne always saw hope in people. He never thought anybody's life was hopeless. And I saw him model this so many times. I never forget a time I was out at Southland Christian. I believe it was a Wednesday night, and we'd had some event there, and I was helping take down the chairs and things, and I was the last one to leave, and I went in to turn the light off in this room, in the conference room, and all of a sudden I heard this, "Hey, is that you, Horn?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, he said, "Come here for a second, please." And I went back to his office. He said, "I just got a phone call from somebody. They're stranded on Richmond Road." And Wayne opened up his wallet, gave me a $100 bill, which was a lot of money back then. This was in the 90s. Still a decent amount today, but not as much, obviously, it used to be. But he said, "I want you to pick him up. He's in front of the Shoney's Hotel. I want you to check him in the room. Then I want you to give him the rest of the money. And then I want you to pray with him and tell him that God loves him." And I thought, here's Wayne just providing hope for a guy that was hopeless. And, on a Wednesday night, and Wayne just out of his own pocket did that. And, man, that's just kind of what I've tried to model my life. And I've definitely not achieved all the things that Wayne Smith's done or had near the impact. But I've just tried to be faithful with whatever God has entrusted me with. And that I always believe there's hope because of Jesus. And I'm so thankful for Wayne and how he modeled that with his life. Then my buddy Jimmy Fields, I've talked about, I wrote on his, what was inscribed with his glasses, his eyeglasses. Jimmy Fields made you feel valued and heard, and you just had a peace when you were around Jimmy. And friends, I pray that would be said of you and of me when people around us that, they just felt peaceful. And I hope sometimes I achieve that, but I know often I don't. And I'm so thankful for Jimmy, and Jimmy loved to give hugs, and man, I've tried to model that. I'm a hugger, and I know some people don't like it, so I have to be careful with that. But Jimmy just was amazing. In fact, he had a T-shirt that was made for him that said "Free Hugs," and I just love that guy and what he stood for and who he was, and such a man of God. And he brought me peace, and I'm thankful that I could call him my friend. And just what a difference he made in my one and only life, and that he made in so many other people's too. And just want to continue to honor his life and his legend. He didn't know this would be his last sermon on earth, but actually the last sermon that he preached before he unexpectedly got cancer and then died. He said in this sermon, "I prayed, God, if I could ever be that guy that stands at the door, that gives a smile, a handshake, a welcome, and a hug. I love giving hugs, to give a lifeline of hope, love, and acceptance." Friends, that's what Jimmy modeled. He did give those free hugs, and he gave a lifeline of hope to so many people, and you felt loved and accepted no matter what was going on in your life. And man, I just want to see people the way my father did, and see life and have God give me wisdom to help others make wise decisions. Like Wayne Smith, I don't want to ever give up on anybody, and I want to let people know there's always hope because of Jesus. And then like Jimmy, man, I just want to listen to people and make sure that I'm fully engaged with them when I'm in that moment with them, and not thinking about my to-do list or looking around the room. And we all been there when people do that to us. When you're in a conversation, you can tell they're not really listening. And then give people a hug. And Jimmy used to always say when we were walking off after a conversation with him, "Blessings, brother." And you knew that he really, really meant it. And so we're basing it off Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses," those are three of the witnesses that I try to honor with my life. We're out of time, but I hope you'll join us again tomorrow. My name's Greg Horn, and this is Hope is Here.
Thank you for listening to Hope is Here podcast. To listen to one of our previous programs or to make a tax-deductible donation, please go to our website, hopeishere.today. That's hopeishere.today.
Hope is Here is blessed to receive a $15,000 matching gift this summer. To help us utilize this wonderful opportunity, would you please consider making a donation? No gift is too small, and all donations are tax-deductible and greatly appreciated. To make a donation online or to find information on where to mail a check, please go to our website, hopeisheretoday.org. Again, that's hopeisheretoday.org.
Are you ready to break out of the monotony of the mundane and the mediocre? I am Tommy Lanham, and I am leading the Enthusiasm Experience Retreat in Lexington, Kentucky, September 6th through 8th, with special guest GregJHorn from Hope is Here. Are you ready to break through to your enthusiasm zone? For more information, visit theenthusiasmzone.com. That is theenthusiasmzone.com.
I no longer have an excuse to say, I don't know what I want to do, because I know exactly what I want to do.
Here we go.